telling you, hooking up is easy. Meeting platonic male friends, not so much.
So what do I do? I mean, how do I meet friends? It's such a weird concept.
Well, I can do some recon around the gym. But you're gonna have to be aggressive about this, man.
Yeah.
Use the internet to meet guys. Get mom to fix you up. I mean, if you see a cool-looking guy, strike up a conversation and ask him on a man date.
A what?
A man date.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No.
By that, I mean casual lunch or after-work drinks, okay? No dinner and no movies. You're not taking these boys to see The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, God, I love that movie.
Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
and featuring special guest who I guess was on the live stream first, so not to make it confusing. Jamal. Jamal, are you there?
Ford-Bey, Jamal right here. Jamal right here.
See? Professionals. And then, of course, the lovely and handsome insert name.
Chris Esposito.
Jesus Christ! Yes, Chris Esposito. It is the 500th episode of the first run, and we are super duper excited to be bringing you this show. It's going to be awesome because we're going to revisit Sucker Punch, one of the most contentious episodes we ever did back in the day. So we decided we're going to get the gang together. Now, Jamal, if you may not know, is not actually, well, he's guest hosted time to time, right? He's joined us as a super special guest, but he has not previously seen the film, or at least he hasn't discussed it with us. Jamal is here, of course, if you're not aware, he is the creator of our theme song, and we are very, very happy to have him. We had posted a link to the old Sucker Punch show if you wanted to refresh yourself on the madness of that prior discussion back in the day. So if you had a chance to catch up with that, then I do apologize. In the interim, here we are. So if you're wondering too, Matt, what was that first clip was all about, why don't you tell the fine folks, why did I play a clip from I Love You, Man?
Because that was Chris and I's first mandate. We had worked together for a while, and he was like, hey, you want to go see this movie? And I was like, sure. And it was really the seeds, if you will, of this show, 500 episodes in. And that particular section, I remember it quite vividly. When they're talking about the mandate, we just both kind of look at each other and then go back to watching the movie.
It was pretty
Barely
good.
acknowledging it.
So, this week, obviously, we're talking about Sucker Punch. We're also going to catch up with Velocipastor. One of the favorite things we do here is your straight-to-DVD pick of the week. Once in a while, we'll actually watch one of those. They tend to be more your untraditional fare. You're just kind of stuff that's really not that good. And then we'll review what's coming up on your home video picks, your physical media, if you will, and featuring your streaming and straight-to-DVD picks of the week. And then finally, we've been counting down from 20. We're actually here now. We're going to share our 5 favorite films that we've reviewed for this show. But without further ado, because there's been a lot of do, let's start it off with a clip from Sucker Punch.
So, the first thing we need is a map to figure out where all the exits are. Second thing we need is something to start a fire with, as a distraction for when we escape. Plus, the fire should disable all the checkpoints. And the third thing is a knife. In case we run into any trouble. The cook. We can do it. Okay? And the last thing's a key.
Blue wears a key around his neck.
What door does it open?
It's for all of them, I think. It's a master key. I'm in. So am I.
Me too.
All right. But I'm only doing this because you guys get caught without me, okay? And if it gets too hairy, if I say it's over, we stop.
Okay.
So Emily Browning, Matt, is confined to an asylum or some institutionalized, right? I guess is that what we're going to say? She's been institutionalized.
Sure.
And this is after her mother passes away. Her wicked stepfather basically attempts to sexually assault her. And when she's able to push him away, he goes to her younger sister. Emily Browning's character is able to kind of stop all that from happening, but in the ensuing struggle, accidentally kills her younger sister. So she ends up in this institution where she meets these other young women. She is scheduled to be lobotomized. So what she does is she escapes into these different fantasy worlds to basically find a way to escape from everything that's happening. She brings her new friends in with her as to find, as they say, not to escape actually per se, but just to find freedom from their current situation. When we first discussed this, Matt, Espo, Jamal, I hated this film. It made me viscerally angry. I think part of it was we were all looking forward to it, Matt, particularly you. You were, this is one of the more fascinating and fun trailers we had seen up to that point. Again, it's episode 59. And we both walked out of this thing kind of really just disappointed. You disappointed me angry. And actually, Espo was a fan of it. He actually did enjoy it, if I recall correctly. In fact, let's hear that.
I can't wrap my head around the fact that you liked it.
Yeah, I did. You know why I liked it? Because I wasn't looking for some deep meaning in it. All I went in,
I wasn't either.
I just wanted it to be fun. It wasn't fun at all.
I didn't need to analyze it. That's all I thought it was very fun. I liked every song that came on. I was like, oh, this is great. I love this. The way they remixed this.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing if I was in high school making a movie.
So, but my reaction basically too at the time, and this of course is another cut from that episode.
This thing is a colossal failure. For me, every scene, every step was the wrong thing to do.
You think so?
I think, yeah, this film is in some ways insulting and offensive.
So, if we've learned anything over 500 episodes, Matt, is that I can be hyperbolic.
No.
Really? You?
And the great thing too, listening to this, and also listening to some other episodes as I was curating our archive and cleaning it all up, is that I am not nice, particularly to Espo. I feel like I owe him an apology. Listening to that particular segment, I cut you off almost every time you started to speak, and then so it's not good. I'm not a nice guy, but I'm alright with it. I just think it's good to vocalize it.
You were fine. You weren't rude. It was okay.
And I can see
we're having a fun discussion.
That's true. I do appreciate that. So I watched the theatrical and the director's cut. Matt, were you able to catch up with both, or did you just do one?
I did. I subjected myself to both, yes.
Espo, did you rewatch the film in preparation for the show?
No, I did not.
You have no idea how much I love you. All right, Jamal, I know you. Which did you watch? Theatrical, director's cut?
I watched the theatrical. The director's cut. Is that like 3 hours long?
No, it's like, what, 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's like 15, 20 minutes extra.
Oh, so yeah, I watched it was on there's streaming out there. It's like an hour and 50 minutes.
All right. Yeah, it's not like a Batman vs Superman where there's like an extra half hour or 40 minutes worth of footage.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest issue I had with this film originally was I felt that it was Snyder's attempt to empower women and kind of take back geek culture for women, but in doing so, he failed every single time because his vision of this, and I think this is replicated pretty much throughout his career, is that he views empowerment through a male gaze and says, well, if I show everybody as being, half naked, then it's cool, right? And then everybody's the same and everything's equal, so it's all right. And I think this though may kind of sum it up pretty well, I think.
No, and it really is like when he's trying to empower these women, it's like a young adolescent boy's version of what would empower a girl. Having her wear the Catholic schoolgirl outfit with a big sword and guns.
Yeah.
And it's more the fantasy version of female empowerment than it is of
I don't even talk about it.
I love when Matt's like, don't even talk about it. So, Matt, let's start with you. Have your thoughts on this softened at all? Are you more on board with this given the distance? It's been, 10 years now almost, right?
Yeah. You know what? I watched this thing and I watched both of them, and I honestly, it's still not a good film necessarily, but I actually enjoyed it more than I think I thought I was going to, just because I had no expectations for this thing. I expected it to hate it, and I didn't hate it. I think Snyder is trying to do something here, and whether he's successful or not, or even whether he has the bona fides to really pull it off or not, is obviously part of the debate that we've had back then and we're probably going to have now. But at the end of the day, and Chris will be proud of me, I've done more research on this for this episode than I have literally any other film that we've ever watched. But I was just reading some of the old interviews about this stuff, and like just listening to what Emily Browning had to say, what Jamie Chung had to say about the whole thing, even what Snyder himself had to say, I can see what they were trying to get at. And I read some think pieces that really made me think from by these feminist critics or whatever. And they think it's not entirely successful what it's trying to do, but they had some really interesting ideas that at the end of the day, I think he is trying to say something. I don't know if he's particularly successful, but at the same time, some of those action sequences, they still really hold up. And I was able just to kind of forget about it and just watch them and enjoy some of that stuff.
Espo.
I don't know if I 100% agree with my position on the film that I had then. I think I might have just been having a hard time explaining my thoughts on it, but my feeling is still that I don't think if you're going into a film looking for depth or for a, some kind of message, I don't think this is really the film for that. I think what I liked about it was the action sequences, like Matt said, they're really good, and there was a lot of just fun action in the movie, and that's what I enjoyed about it. But it's not a movie that I'm gonna sit my kids down to watch or recommend to people as like a moving kind of film. It's not, and I think you could argue both ways that maybe he was trying to do something, and maybe he was or wasn't successful in that, or maybe he wasn't. Whether he was trying to or not, I don't think that he did really accomplish anything as far as sending a message with this movie. I think it was just a fun movie to watch for action. It's some of the action is completely ridiculous, as is the storyline, but that I think that's kind of how you have to go into this movie. If you're going to watch it and you want to enjoy it, you kind of can't care about what it stands for. Just enjoy the fun part.
Fair enough. Jamal?
So when I look at Snyder's films overall, and then go back and look at this, I can see where the rest of it came from. When it breaks down, I watched this, as I say, the beautiful thing for me was what Matt brought up earlier. My expectations were incredibly low. So I enjoyed the film more than if I had gone in going, oh my God, this looks awesome. Because I also have the backlog of watching Snyder, Superman, Dawn of Justice, whatever part of Justice League he put together, and realize that he puts together some really cool visuals, but the story is not going to be super strong. When you look at something like Release the Snyder Cut, basically, and the director's cuts that come out, it's kind of, well, this is what everybody hated, so now I'm going to fix it. With Sucker Punch, what I can see, the visuals are really cool, but I sat there a lot of it, even though I had low expectations going, why isn't this as cool as it should be? I'm watching it and I was like, this seems really good. I like this song. What's missing? There was always something, some interconnected piece missing for me. And then I was like, I watched some of the essays after, and one of the ones that stuck with me that I liked is that the entire thing is Sweet Pea. Baby Doll doesn't exist. The only story that truly exists is Sweet Pea is somehow responsible for her sister's death. All of the layers are all Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea envisions herself as Baby Doll, as the one who is responsible for her sister's death, as the same thing where she's responsible for her sister's death when the train robbery. And in the end, she does not escape, but Baby Doll, is not lobotomized. It's Sweet Pea. Why in the very end, when you go back and they don't show her face, I think there's maybe a cut that was shot where when they pull back from Oscar Isaac, it's Sweet Pea's face sitting in the chair lobotomized and not Baby Doll. Just knowing Snyder's track record of great visuals. There's going to be 15 really awesome minutes of this movie that you have to get through. I kind of got what I was expecting.
This is Sweet Pea's story, actually. She's the narrator. And she does have the end where you're thinking though maybe that whole ending with her is in her head when she's on the bus with Scott Glenn.
Where she goes off to paradise when John Hamm says, it's like she wanted me to do it. And she gets lobotomized, and then you see her get on the.
But there is a scene. There is a scene where you see Baby Doll's face at the end in the chair.
But what I'm saying is, you see Baby Doll's face at the end, but I'm thinking that there's an alternate cut where they pull back because for 2 to 3 minutes of that film, they do not show Baby Doll's face, and I'm like, maybe there's a cut where when Oscar Isaac pulls back, it is Sweet Pea sitting in that chair. That would have hit harder for me.
If there is, I haven't heard or seen that. I watched some critical essays on YouTube about this too, which just infuriated me. How a lot of people stating that the film is actually a very subtle and very intelligently done. There's a lot going on, a lot of subtext in this thing. There's not an ounce of subtext in this movie. I don't know what the hell people are talking about with that. That's just insane to me. So. Matt and I both watched a director's cut. There is no alternate footage in that, which would make you think that that's actually the case, and I haven't read or seen anything about that.
I think that would be a better ending.
Maybe. I think my issue is... I don't think all of my issues have changed. This rewatch hasn't really softened me that much. Perhaps I'm a little more forgiving with it. I guess, maybe. But all the problems I had with it still exist. There's really nothing in this rewatch that made me change my mind or think, Chris, maybe you're a little hard on that part of it. No, I think all the critiques I had, like particularly too, when he kills off Blondie and Amber, the way they do that too is it's a waste. It's infuriating. It doesn't really serve the thing at all. I don't know. It still doesn't work for me at all. This is not some grand intellectual exercise about female empowerment. All right. And if you want to look at the rest of his oeuvre, if you will, his entire catalog, every film I can think of is that his vision eludes his grasp over and over again. I will state that I think maybe visually it is arresting. There's a lot of great, beautiful images. The man, he knows how to shoot, a scene. I'll give him that. And some of the effects in this are quite interesting, but the rest of it, it just doesn't work for me really at all. Still. And one of the most interesting things, Matt and Espo, when we originally talked about this, we got in a heated argument about whether this was a failed exploitation film or not. And I was convinced that this was no exploitation in this at all. It was more just his failed attempt at his sexy high school version of female empowerment. So I'm not sure that if we want to revisit that at all. Probably for the best that we don't.
I don't know, man. I why do I feel like, Chris, I love you, but I feel like you're like the old man, like get off my lawn kind of thing. Like you're just like, nope, I'm right, damn it. And I refuse to see anything further than this. And I can't believe it pains me that you continue to make me defend Zack Snyder, which is not even somebody I even like. I don't know. Like, I don't agree. I don't agree. Even the stuff, even though they're all like in scantily clad and stuff, it didn't even strike me the shots that he makes. He doesn't linger on cleavage or butt shots or anything like that. It's just, it's weird the way he does it. Like, I don't know why. It seems very pointed.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's that he's not. That's why there's not the exploitation angle. He is presenting these women as he views them as as reasserting control of their sexuality, right? That's the thing he's trying to say by they're taking control of their lives, their bodies, and how men look at them, even though they dress scantily clad. It's like I said, it's just a dumb person's version of high intellectual female empowerment.
I mean, I viewed it more as that their sexuality was their only weapon for while they're in the real world of the asylum, and then the second fake world of the brothel or bordello or whatever, and then the third fake world. That doesn't change because that's all they have.
Yeah. No, I guess so. And the other thing too that really infuriated me at the time was the use of the music. I know Espo was actually you actually appreciated and liked the music that he had used, the cover songs. One thing I learned too while researching this, Matt, is that Emily Browning actually sang a lot of the things from that film. So, but here's to a throwback, Matt, from that Sucker Punch episode.
I think the opening part where there's no dialogue really, and it's just these remix of these old songs with weird cuts and angles and magnifications, and it doesn't work.
That's half of what I liked about it. I loved the soundtrack.
It's lazy.
I thought it was amazing. The songs that were in it, those are songs that I love.
So yeah, that's I don't know. Those remakes, especially that Pixies one, was just infuriating to me. And it looks
I found the Stooges one to be much worse.
No, yeah, you're right. The cover of "Gimme Danger" is really the most offensive thing about that. So back in the day, we didn't actually do letter grades. We would say skip it, wait, go see it, or wait for it to come out in home video. So back at the time, Matt and I both said skip it. Espo, you said it was worth checking out. So now, though, we do letter grades. So before we do that, though, any other additional thoughts about Sucker Punch that you want to share? Matt, did you think the director's cut vastly improved the movie?
Not really. I mean, the addition of a musical number and then a sex scene with John Hamm at the end, I guess that's, And again, in my research, I guess Emily Browning really liked that sex scene with John Hamm. She was really upset that it got cut. So I was really anticipating something was going to be really interesting, and it didn't seem to add much to me. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. I mean, I'm just surprised I didn't hate it as much as I did. I couldn't bring any strong emotions to the table, whereas I think Chris, it welled up the worst parts of your feelings for it.
That's probably fair. Yeah, no, I think too the big dance scene with Oscar Isaac singing and the songs, the musical number. I think also it makes sense. I think it was the right thing to cut it because I think the reason why they did it makes sense because it kind of takes away from the danger of the situation and it makes the place more like a carnival and a fun atmosphere than the thread around every corner place that it's supposed to be. So even though it's big, and runs for a while and is, I think, interesting and well done, it does kind of take away from the atmosphere that he's trying to establish in the institution. So, good times. All right. Anybody else? Espo, Jamal, any final thoughts on the Sucker Punch so we can mercifully move on?
Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Not as cool as it wanted to be.
Fair enough.
I'm good with that. That's I agree with Jamal. Yeah.
Okay. So, as I said, Matt and I had said skip it. Espo said see it. This time around, Matt, I think I'm going to give it a C-. I'm
going to give it a C because I liked it worlds more than you did, obviously.
Espo, if you were going to give it a grade today, what would you give it?
I think a C sounds about right. It's fun, but that's about it.
Fair enough. Jamal?
If you have other things to stream first, since we're at home, if you're just done with a series and need a palate cleanser, watch this, then move on to something else. This is not a necessity, so maybe a C+ because my expectations were so low, it just was better than I thought it was going to be.
All right, C+ it is. If you've seen Sucker Punch, if you revisited it recently, if you'd like to share your thoughts on just wonderful property, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Coming up on home video this upcoming Tuesday, May 5th.
We're leaving. I need my pills and we're just gonna walk to the nearest town and call your dad and then he's gonna come pick us up. So you have to pack your things.
What are you talking about? We can't leave.
It's not up for discussion.
Look outside, Grace. That's crazy. We don't even have our jackets. We're not going.
I'll go alone.
You won't make it. Grace.
Grace.
Don't go.
So that is a clip from a film that I really enjoyed, and I saw some action on Twitter today that people hated this film, and I'm not quite sure why. Matt, maybe you can tell me. The Lodge is a soon-to-be stepmom is snowed in with her fiance's 2 children at a remote holiday village. Just as relations finally begin to thaw between the trio, strange and frightening events threaten to summon psychological demons from her strict religious childhood. So, I really enjoyed that thing, Matt. What were your thoughts about The Lodge?
I enjoyed it. It's a bit of a brutal movie. It's not exactly a fun sit.
No.
So if you're looking for the vein of horror like Hereditary or Midsommar, that's like, not exactly a good time, but it is an unsettling movie. This is right up your alley.
There you go. Also coming up is Bloodshot. You can pick this up now on 4K and Blu-ray, or at least you can on Tuesday. Includes a Dolby Atmos audio track, some outtakes, a blooper reel, some deleted and extended scenes, including an alternate ending, and more. We will be discussing this up on the show in the next, month it is? I'm not sure. You can stay tuned for that. I couldn't bring myself to spend $20 to rent that thing, Matt. I couldn't do it.
I understand.
Michael Winterbottom's Greed, starring Steve Coogan, is coming out as well. It's a satire about the world of the super rich. I like Winterbottom. I like Steve Coogan. I think I may want to check this out, though I haven't heard great things. A film we reviewed for the show, Gretel and Hansel. This kind of update, though it is still set in olden times of the classic Hansel and Gretel fairy tale, is coming out. Includes a storybook featurette. I think I enjoyed that one, Matt, more than you did. Though still overall was kind of underwhelming for both of us.
Yeah.
Exorcism at 60,000 Feet is coming out from Shout Factory. Robert Miano, Bai Ling, Lance Henriksen, Kevin J. O'Connor, and Bill Moseley all star in this film. We all know that air travel can be hell, but on the last flight of a transatlantic passenger airliner, things turn positively demonic. There's a behind the screams of Exorcism at 60,000 Feet featurette with the cast and crew, a couple making of featurettes, a birthday party for Bill Moseley, and some other stuff. The Jesus Rolls, the spin-off of The Big Lebowski, is coming out as well. Written, directed by Turturro, I believe. And it's kind of what's happened since to Jesus Quintana. Liam Hemsworth, the less attractive Hemsworth brother. No offense. I'm just stating the truth. Stars in Arkansas. Kyle and Swin live by the orders of an Arkansas-based drug kingpin named Frog, whom they've never met. But when a deal goes horribly wrong, the consequences are deadly. Includes an audio commentary by the writer-director Clark Duke, a featurette of the making of the film, and a performance by the Flaming Lips. I Still Believe, the Christian feature about the true life story of music star Jeremy Camp, is being released. Includes a commentary by the director, as well as 4 featurettes and some deleted scenes. Better Days by director Kwok Chung Sang. A bullied teenager girl forms an unlikely friendship with a mysterious young man who protects her from her assailants, all while she copes with the pressures of her final exams. You're new to Blu-ray, Matt. You have Criterion is releasing 6 Moral Tales. Eric Romer's films, which include The Bakery Girl of Monceau, Susan's Career, My Night at Maud's, La Collectionneuse, I'm really nailing the French, Claire's Knees, and Love in the Afternoon. As I said, all 2K restorations on all films, conversations with the director, and 4 short films of Romer's are included as well, and more. So Criterion is going all out for this set. Arrow is releasing White Fire. When Bo was a child, a mysterious stranger sadistically murdered his parents. Only Bo and his sister Ingrid survived the bloodshed. Now, 20 years later, Bo and his sister are grown up. They are now employees at a diamond mine shaft located in the desert. As mischievous as they are, they stumble upon the discovery of a legendary diamond, the White Fire. However, this rapture for the diamond has provoked the angst of some short-tempered, not-so-nice villains. Includes the original mono audio, feature-length audio commentary, and a couple new interviews as well. A couple things getting its release on 4K for the first time. The, dare I say, classic Mask of Zorro includes a new deleted scene exclusive to the 4K and some ported over extras, including the director's commentary, documentary, and some deleted scenes. And then the Keanu Reeves film 47 Ronin is getting its 4K release with some deleted scenes as well. Your straight-to-DVD pick of the week is Insecticidal. And according to Blu-ray.com, the synopsis is, there is no synopsis for Insecticidal. I did some more digging, though, and I found out it's about a sexy and a comic creature feature. When a science experiment goes terribly awry, a swarm of giant flesh-eating insects attacks a nubile group of sorority girls, as they do. Matt, what should we be streaming this week?
All right, so I'm going to recommend a classic serial killer film, The Night of the Hunter, starring Robert Mitchum as a killer preacher on the hunt for some children who know the whereabouts of a stash of cash. It is a solid, creepy film, really suspenseful, and it's available on Amazon Prime.
Night of the Hunter is one of my favorites. If you haven't seen it, it is fantastic. There is a fantastic version of it on Criterion as well, and there's talk of a remake, which saddens me immensely.
It does.
Children. All right. Let the party continue. Everybody's getting back in on the action, and I'm going to spend a few minutes to talk about Velocipastor.
Father Stewart.
Hello, Douglas.
You're reading, I see.
Yes. Time spent in silent servitude. How are you? Worried, Doug. I'll be blunt.
Your chronic absence worries me. You've hardly been eating at all. You haven't missed a Sunday in 16 years, and all of a sudden that girl shows up.
That girl's name is Carol. And she's very nice.
Have you forgotten your vow of chastity?
Of course not.
Then as your mentor and your friend, I ask you, what the hell is going on?
Father Stewart, what if I told you that I was different?
You're not that different. There are plenty of men like that in the church.
No. I mean, really different.
All right, man. You know I love to do this to you. Why don't you tell the fine folks at home and the brave souls participating in the live stream, what is Velocipastor all about?
So a priest has the unfortunate circumstance of watching his parents be murdered in a car explosion. So he decides that he needs to get away, and he heads to China, and where he encounters a woman running away with an artifact, being chased by a ninja for some reason in China, and turns out it's a petrified dinosaur claw or a fossil, and it cuts him. And he suddenly has the ability to turn into a dinosaur, a velociraptor, if you will. Although not like any velociraptor that I could see. Jurassic Park would lead you completely astray as to what these things apparently look like.
Yeah, I think this film was much more accurate.
Yeah, I think it is. I think this is much more scientifically accurate. But anyway, he goes home, discovers his powers, and starts to use them as a vigilante to fight crime while getting involved with a hooker with a heart of gold. Velocipastor.
Sometimes films can be so bad they're good. Say you're Birdemics, right? You're The Rooms. But sometimes when you try and recreate kind of that magic, you're going to fail miserably. Mm-hmm. So where does Velocipastor come down for you?
Yeah, so I mean, it had some clever moments, I guess, but for the most part, he's trying to make a bad movie because he's basically got no budget. So he's throwing in all these kind of jokes, and they don't really work. For a movie that is literally an hour and 10 minutes long, it felt like it was 2 hours while I was watching it because it's just not good. And the jokes are just, like I said, a couple times I kind of chuckled and said that's kind of clever, but most of the time they just fell flat for me.
That is incorrect. Espo, did you watch Velocipastor, and what were your thoughts?
No, sorry, I did not watch Velocipastor. I do not have Amazon Prime.
Fair enough. I miss you sometimes.
But it sounds like a delight, and I'm sorry that I missed it.
All right, working our way around the virtual room. Jamal, did you watch Velocipastor?
My favorite part of the last interaction was Matt goes through and gives his heartfelt thing, and you go, "You are incorrect."
Welcome to my world, Jamal.
No, I saw the title. I was like, oh, yeah, I just can't do this. I got through Sucker Punch, and I was like, yeah, this is somebody trying. And I was like, oh, Velocipastor, let me check. Oh, $35,000 budget.
You know what? Here's the thing. This is my fault. This is a failure on my part of not verifying all of this before we started. So now I look like a jackass.
Now I must salvage this. Me? I must do this.
So, okay. No, Matt. I think though Velocipastor has its heart in the right place-ish, I guess. Listen, it is horrible. The dialogue is tragically bad. It's shot poorly. I mean, it does everything wrong, but it does it exactly right. Is it as beautiful and sublime as your Rooms, as your Birdemics? No, of course it isn't. I think because it knows what it's trying to do, right? But if you think of more like, what is it, Kung Fu Fury? I can't even say it now.
Kung Fu Hustle?
Kung Fu Hustle? No.
Or Kung Fu Soccer? Shaolin Soccer?
Kung Fury. That
Kung
short,
Fury,
like 10-minute one that they made that they want to get them. They raise the money to make the full. Then I think this thing has its charms, particularly for me. There's one scene when I think about it now where we get the reveal who the main bad ninja is. And I was drinking some water at the time, and I basically spit it all out, and I was laughing for about a minute and a half after that reveal hit. Even think of it now. There are a lot of just gold moments in this thing. Overall, does it sustain its 71-minute or 75-minute runtime? No. In fact, there's a love scene in this thing that runs for about 7-8 minutes, which is clearly just there for padding at some point, right? Because it flashes back through the entire film. And if you have seizure issues, you are warned that that may trigger them. But there is enough here that I think it's well worth your time. I actually had a blast watching this thing. It is just bad enough. The acting is just poor enough. His friend that you heard in the clip, that's also the priest, that's his mentor, is brilliant in this thing. I absolutely loved him whenever he showed up on screen.
The flashback to Vietnam.
Yeah.
What was she doing here? I don't know. Maybe she was trying to have a baby.
the Vietnam flashback alone, I feel like it's worth watching. Another thing, too, just there to pat out, because like, all right, if we're going to get feature-length status, which I think is like 75 minutes, is that it? I think there's a specific time frame.
Texted me all excited that it was 71 minutes long. I think it literally is. I think the Amazon runtime said 1 hour, 10 minutes. Okay. It's like an episode of Law and Order, basically.
Right? Or like a Breaking Bad one at this point, which we're a little... Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Better Call Saul. Either way, I loved it. I thought it was a blast. I would recommend anybody who has Amazon Prime to watch it. Just prepare yourself. It is horrible. It is absolutely horrible. But I had a lot of fun watching it. I laughed quite often, Matt. I apologize. You missed the mark on this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like the parts that were funny are funny, and I did enjoy them. But other parts of it just doesn't work. Just for me. Although I will say I'm really excited now that Amazon has started to recommend a bunch of really terrible films because I watched this.
You screwed up your algorithm.
Yeah, so now I'm looking forward to watching Inhuman Sandwich. I'm looking forward to watching Spaghetti Man. I Was a Teenage Wereskunk. I've got quarantine views for days. Stuff coming up. I'll let you guys all know how it goes.
So as always, if you're unaware, we do grade on a curve, right? We go by genre. We go, you know. So yeah. I'm giving Velocipastor a B+.
Are you?
Yeah.
See, yeah, and I gave it a B-. I was sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, this is a B- D film. It's a B- D film is what this is.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you got a chance to see Velocipastor, Espo, you should get Amazon Prime just to watch this. And you could probably rent it a lot cheaper on the iTunes. Same with you, Jamal. Pick it up, check it out. It is well worth the robust 75 minutes that it seems to run, or whatever it is, 71. If you've seen Velocipastor, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Let's jump into it. The final 5 films, our 5 favorite movies that we watched, that we reviewed for this show. Here's a clip from an absolutely lovely film. And if you haven't seen it, drop what you're doing and watch it this weekend. So I guess you don't have to drop what you're doing. Just watch it. You're going to love it. Here's a clip.
That was bad music, and there is nothing as bad in this world as bad music.
You know, you can record over tape.
No. That was a novelty act. You want to have actual sexual intercourse, right?
Yeah. What?
The girl. It's all about the girl, isn't it?
Yeah, the girl, yeah.
And you're going to use somebody else's art to get her? Are you kidding?
We're just starting. Like, we need to learn how to play.
Did the Sex Pistols know how to play? You don't need to know how to play. Who are you, Steely Dan? You need to learn how not to play, Connor. That's the trick. That's rock and roll. And that takes practice. And you're not a covers band, by the way.
Really?
No. Every school has a covers band. Every pub has a covers band. Every wedding has a covers band. And every covers band has a middle-aged member who'll never know whether they could have made it in the music industry or not because they never had the balls to write a song for someone else. Rock and roll is a risk. You risk being ridiculed.
But I don't know how to write a song.
Close that door and sit down.
Really?
It's gonna be a long night.
I've school in the morning.
This is school.
So that, of course, is Jack Rayner and our old buddy Freddie Walsh-Pilo. If you haven't seen John Carney's Sing Street, get on it, man. So it is a wonderful little film. It's actually on the Roku channel with ads. Same with Voodoo and Hoopla, all for free, folks. So if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Hoopla! Oh, yeah, you mentioned before. I want to do a quick shout-out. Prime,
yeah,
which is cool. It's one of the least expensive ones because you can do for the year. What a lot of people don't know about is Hoopla, which is sponsored by your library, which is free. And you can rent up to, now I guess because people are in quarantine, I think you can do up to 10 movies per month. Or you can do 10 movies, 10 ebooks, or 10 albums, some variation of that. So it's pretty cool stuff. Also, there's an app called Libby, which also links up to your library. You can do audiobooks for that. So let's say you want to watch a movie, but you want to read or listen to it, the book first, you can do that. So I just want to throw that out there for people who are like, I've cut the cord and how am I going to pay for all of these things? Hoopla and Libby are really cool for supplementing things you can't get through Hulu, Amazon Prime, Netflix, all that other stuff.
Yeah, they do have a lot of stuff on there. I think there's a lot of Criterion stuff on there too. As well.
Yeah. Well, the other service, Canopy, it's similar to Hoopla. That has a lot of the Criterion stuff too.
Okay.
Also through your library. All you need is a library card.
Man.
Thanks, Jamal. That's very helpful.
Yeah, and a participating library.
Yep.
Unlike mine.
Yeah, same with me. My library does not participate either.
Oh,
I guess the licensing fees are actually pretty pricey, is the problem.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it looks like somebody's in the pocket of big library. All right. So, again, I did not clear this ahead of time. Matt, you have your top 5. Jamal, I believe you have 5. Espo, did you happen to come up with 5 films that during the run of this show that you love? Go ahead, break my heart.
Maybe I missed the memo on that one, but no. But I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can come up with some.
Okay. Well, Matt, why don't you start us off? We'll go to Jamal, and then we'll see if Espo has something to come up with, because I'm going to go. It's my show, folks. I am the god, so I get to go have the final number 1.
Oh, Matt, I'm so sorry, man.
It's okay. It's all right. I mean, I've come to terms with it a long time. I'm just here along for the ride. Chris is the one constant, and he does all the work. So, honestly, folks, you have everything. If you love the show, you have Chris to thank. If you hate the show, you also have Chris to thank. So, there you go.
That's very true.
So, going by Chris's rule, this is a question I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned 5 movies that we love that have been out since the show started.
Matt and I, it was films that we'd reviewed for the show, but you can be stuff maybe that we hadn't seen. We don't watch any adult fare, Jamal, so it's not going to be.
Those aren't played. The ones I watch are all on, that site that needs to get. You got to make sure you wipe your browser. But what I'm talking about after is like trilogies, like a good solid trilogy. Can this count as one, or is it 3 separate films?
I'll let you go with the whole trilogy. You're a guest. I am a benevolent ruler. You may go with your trilogy. So, Matt, any other questions before we begin?
No, I'm impressed that you're allowing such a thing. You would never allow me to do such a thing.
Oh, God, no. Matt, number 5.
Like the theme song's different.
That's it. Number 5, Matt. What do you got?
All right, so my number 5, this is not my favorite film by this director, but it might have my 2 favorite scenes ever. It's literally it's so close. They're so good, and that's Quentin Tarantino's *Inglourious Bastards*. The opening scene with Hans Landa interviewing the dairy farmer looking for the Jewish family is just a masterclass in suspense. And then he does it again in the same movie when Michael Fassbender, impersonating a Nazi officer, runs into the SS officer in a pub in France. Yeah, it's fantastic. Not as strong all the way through, but it is such a good film. And just for those 2 things alone, it had to be in my top 5.
Fair enough. That's an interesting pick. Jamal, you're number 5.
It's a film called Border. She works as a security guard at an airport, and she lets the border in. It was one of these off the radar underground films, and I went in not knowing a damn thing about it, completely and utterly like, what the hell is going on? And just the way things play out, you have no idea what's going on until the very end. So I throw it in for number 5.
Yeah, I was actually playing here at one of the Gasparilla Film Festivals, and I wanted to check it out, but I didn't make it. I couldn't get to the screening, unfortunately.
It's streaming somewhere.
What's that?
It's streaming somewhere.
I think Criterion had it for a while, but I don't know.
Yeah, at some point during the film, you're going to be like, what in the flying F is going on right? Oh, my God. Oh, God. And that's what your response will be. Whoop. Oh. It's not like I'm suggesting the movie Happiness.
Espo, can you come up with one off the top of your head? You don't even have to come up with 5. If you want to just mention 1.
So I think I've got a couple that we did on the show, and then a couple that I've watched outside of the show. And I don't know if I'd call them my favorite movies of all time. They're definitely not, but just 5 that I think are good. So The Social Network is one we did on the show, and I haven't watched it in a long time, but I really enjoyed that. That was a fun one, and I think we had a good time reviewing it.
No, yeah, Social Network was on my list too. Where did I have it? It was near the where was I? 14. So then my number 5 then is going to be Bong Joon-ho's Parasite, the Best Picture winner from last year. Pulled off the hat trick, sorta, even though it was 2, winning Best International Film as well as Best Picture, a feat that I don't know will happen again. Who knows if we'll even have Oscars next year, right? Well, I guess they're going to allow streaming stuff next year. That's the big thing. And they've condensed the audio categories, which is preposterous. And again, still no stunts, but I digress. Joon-ho's just pitch perfect kind of black comedy thriller. The thing defies defining it, at least via genres, about basically class, is a must-see film, one of the best films I've seen. And it is at times hilarious and terrifying. I can't tell you how many times I had my hand over my mouth while I'm watching this thing, and then it's also, you're laughing, and it's sadly tragic. It hits all the emotional notes. It's beautiful too. That's one of the things, right? Is just how beautifully shot this thing is. It is almost a perfect film, if not actually being perfect. It is wonderful. If you haven't seen Parasite, believe the hype, folks. It's really that good. Just, you know what? As he said, right? Don't let 2 inches be your stumbling block. Even though it's got subtitles, check it out. You will not be disappointed. Matt,
really good film. 4. My number 4 is a sequel that I didn't know we needed, and I was very nervous for this film, and I was pleasantly surprised in how it all turned out. It's an absolutely gorgeous science fiction film, Blade Runner 2049. It takes the groundbreaking, seminal, classic sci-fi film in Blade Runner, and extends the story and does it justice, and everything about it as far as the look that Denis Villeneuve brings to it is gorgeous. Makes you even really more excited for Dune. I know it wasn't a big hit, which is just a tragedy, so I'm just hoping that, as the years progress, it'll still find that kind of cult audience that the original had, and will kind of be elevated to those heights.
Yeah, I mean, I was terrified watching that thing. I'm like, well, Villeneuve, so I think it's at least it's going to be visually arresting. It's going to be a stunning work of art, and I'm still impressed with what he's able to pull off with that film. It is fantastic. Jamal, did you see Blade Runner 2049? What do you think of it?
Yes. And everybody's like, this movie wasn't a big hit. I was like, so you apparently know nothing about the first film.
I think that's part of the issue too, right? Was it just too long, or was it just never that big of a property to begin with?
The thing everybody forgets about Blade Runner, the original movie, is that it flopped when it came out, and it has over time just become the film it is. 2049 was never going to be a huge movie. 2049 is going to be the movie that Matt and I pull out every few years and don't go, oh, here's my favorite scene. It's, what are you doing? I'm going to crack a beer or get some tea or coffee, and I'm going to watch this entire film.
Yeah.
But on that same note, for my number 4, I'm going to go with another Denis Villeneuve movie, Arrival.
Really?
That's a good one. I like that.
Good. I just liked the way it trained your brain to think differently. That was the aspect about that movie I liked.
Like the time, I liked their discussion about time and how it's not like a straight line. That was really interesting to me.
It was the best. It was the best time travel movie I have seen.
Yeah. Good pick.
Yeah, no, Amy Adams is fantastic in that thing. It is just what she's able to portray, the vulnerability, and how, like you say, how it kind of jumps back and forth. I don't want to spoil anything, but the final reveal, kind of how that film wraps up, is just as wonderful as it is mind-blowing. No, that's great. Espo, you got another one for us? What you got pocketed there? Will you keep the streak going with another Denis Villeneuve film?
This one is... it wasn't one of my favorite movies, but it is one that kind of stuck with me. It's another movie we did for the show, Tree of Life. And I don't remember loving it when I watched it, but there's still like just images from the movie that have stayed with me, and I've remembered more of it than a lot of other movies that I've watched since. I thought it was really well done. Just impressive acting, impressive directing, and impressive the way they put it all together. It was really, really unique and cool.
Oh, no, Tree of Life is good. You can check out the Criterion version, Espo, which is like 188 minutes. It's even longer than the theatrical release, so you should check that out at some point. Yeah, the original was what, 140? Yeah, 139. Espo, well, you blew it. We could have hit for the cycle, because my number 4 is Denis Villeneuve's Sicario, starring Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin. This is the kind of crime thriller where Blunt plays Kate Macer, and she is kind of brought on board by Josh Brolin to basically take down a cartel. Del Toro is this kind of shadowy, mysterious figure who is there. He is the titular Sicario, right? And this is one of the more raw kind of crime thrillers you're ever going to see. Shot by Deakins, of course, which you can see. I mean, it's a stunning film, some fantastic visuals in this thing, and it is riveting. This one keeps you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. I've watched this probably 6 times since it came out. I don't know what just something about it. You just, whenever it's one of those, like you said, Jamal, I think with Blade Runner too, once it starts, your ass is in the seat and you're going to watch it till it ends. It is just an absolutely gripping film. And Sicario, and don't forget too the great score by Johan Johansson, who unfortunately has since left us, written by Taylor Sheridan. It is a great one. So that's my number 4.
That was further down on my list. Very interesting. All right, so my number 3 is maybe one of the great action spectacles of the last decade. It's a film that had no reason to be as good as it is. It is somehow even better than any of the ones that came before it. New star and all. Of course, I'm talking about George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road, an absolute treasure of practical effects, of just propulsive storytelling and action. As soon as this thing starts, they put the foot on the gas and they don't let up until the end. So it's a fantastic film. Obviously, if you're a fan of action films, and even if you're not, you should be watching this film.
No, that's another good one. Jamal, what do you got for us?
And let the cheating begin. The How to Train Your Dragon trilogy.
I haven't seen a single one of those.
Surprisingly good.
Yeah. From start to finish, if you view it as one long character arc, it is well done.
It is good. I like those.
Can't help you, but I appreciate your contributing and playing along. I was expecting like a John Wick thing.
Here's the sad thing. To go back to Chris's further disappointment, I've not seen a John Wick film.
Wow. All right.
Me neither.
Really? What?
Guys.
What? Guys, come on. They're fantastic. They're so good.
So the first one came out and I was like, oh, this one looks like it might be crap. And then all of a sudden I just heard, this is incredible. It is new Keanu. I was like, all right, well, and then the second one came out, then the third, and then I hear that they're dropping the fourth one before this whole craziness started. The fourth John Wick and the fourth Matrix were going to drop on the same weekend.
Huh. Wow.
So what I'm doing is they've already decided they're going to make a fifth one. So I think I'm going to wait and then get the box set unless this blows up like the Fast and Furious trilogy. But I've never seen one of the Fast and Furious movies, and I just won't do it.
I don't have an issue with that, but you should
John Wick
thing as soon as possible.
I just from all the behind the scenes and the fact that Keanu still looks really good and he's had a resurgence and he's still kicking ass. Yeah, I'm going to see those. But I just want to wait because there's nothing I hate more than something leaving on kind of a cliffhanger and having to wait for the next film.
Well, they have 2 more planned, right? So were you going to wait all the way till the end? How long do you think you're going to be around?
5 years. That's right. I'm the old man of the crew. I got like 26 years. 25 years and 11 months left.
You got one of those Timberlake watch things? You and Amanda, yeah. Let me know how much time you got left. Espo, you got another one for us? Is it a trilogy? I don't mind.
No, it's not. It's I had to mention it. Black Swan.
Nothing wrong with that. Black Swan's good.
No, you guys made fun of me for how much I liked it the last, when we did review it.
Did we?
But
that doesn't sound like
it's
me.
It's a good movie. And nobody can argue otherwise.
Jamal even referenced that at the beginning during the stream, how you referred to it as a masterpiece.
Right, yes. The first time I ever heard you use the term, Espo, it's masterpiece. And it was just like you could hear silence in the room because everybody was like, this is not a date movie. He's not going to like this movie. It's like masterpiece. I was like...
Yeah. It was awesome. I don't know if I'd say masterpiece now, but it was good. It was good.
Episode 45, folks, along with Tron Legacy and The Fighter. Wow, that was a action-packed show.
Yeah, it was.
Look at that. All right, so then my number 3, Matt stole my thunder a little bit. It is Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. I really go back and forth between this and The Hateful Eight. I know a lot of people don't like The Hateful Eight as much as I do, because that's basically, I think Tarantino said himself, his version of a horror film. It's his adaptation of Carpenter's The Thing. But in the end, I think Nazis win out. So seeing a bunch of Nazis get taken out is a lot of fun. And it's Tarantino, right? It's got the dialogue you're looking for. It's got the violence. It jumps around. It's got some fantastic performances. You got Pitt, Fassbender, and of course, Hans Landa himself, right? You're not going to get one Academy Award there. So, God, whenever I think of Waltz now, I think about him as Blofeld, and it makes me angry. I'm not mad at him. I'm just more mad at the decision to make him Bond's brother. It just infuriates me. Either way, of all the modern, I guess, air quotes, Tarantino films, Inglourious Bastards is my favorite. So that's my number 3.
Very good. So my number 2 is a film that I had no expectations for, and when I went to saw it and I saw the Universal logo stylized in such a way with the music over it stylized in such a way, and as an 8-bit video game, I knew I was in. From that opening scene, or from that opening little crawl, that's Edgar Wright's Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Still so much fun. It's one of those films that no matter where it is in the film, if I turn it on and it's on TV, I'll end up watching it, even if I don't mean to. It's just a hell of a lot of fun. As unlikable as Scott Pilgrim is, it's still a great film.
I agree. That's a good one. That's just fun. I was happy when it was added to Netflix so I could watch it again.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim's great. I think it was, what was it, my number 7. So it's in good company there for sure.
So number 2 for me, gonna go a little bit deep on this one. I'm kind of torn. No, I'm not. Selma. Selma. I liked the low budget, but the bigger feel to it. So she had to write a film, plus the whole thing that Spielberg actually owned the rights to his actual speeches. So she had to write with the same energy, but couldn't use the words, but still conveyed all of the feeling that was necessary in the movie.
No, Selma is quite good. No, I don't know if enjoyed is the right term, but that is a really well done film. That's good. Espo, you got another one for us?
Sure, yeah. So this one, we didn't do it for the show. It recently came out. It's a Netflix movie. It's called Sweetheart, and it's not a Netflix movie, but it's on Netflix. It is. There's no big names in it or anything. It's like unknown actors and actresses. It's only like it's really one main character for the most part, and she's marooned on an island. It starts off a little bit like the beginning of Lost, but it takes a turn that you're not really expecting, and it's cool. I like the way they did it. It's a short movie. It's a quick watch, and I recommended it. If you haven't seen it or heard of it, check it out. I don't even want to tell you more about it. I just want you to be surprised by it.
Is Rachel McAdams in it, or
no?
Anna Kendrick?
No, nobody I've ever heard of before or seen. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. My number 2 is a cheat. And because we actually didn't review it for the show. But this film is in the DNA of this show. It was one of the films that prompted me to want to do this. Those 11 years ago. That, of course, is Michael J. White's Black Dynamite, directed by Scott Sanders, a satire on the blaxploitation films, and it is one of the funniest films I have ever seen. I got to see this in the theater in Hartford while it still had Cinema City still existed, and I laughed so hard that I cried. And I still do when I rewatch this, which I do probably every couple years. It is one of the funniest damn things I've ever seen. And what it's able to do with the blaxploitation films, it's just... because it doesn't mock them. It just lovingly kind of brings back all those cliches and tropes that made them so horrible and yet so absolutely wonderful. And Michael J. White as Black Dynamite is... listen, for me, he's a revelation. He truly is. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, but not until I saw him in this. And he's a Connecticut guy. In fact, we went to go see Matt and I. Was it just you?
Yeah,
and
the first time I saw it at the showing he did in Bloomfield. He was there because I think that's where he's from, right?
Yeah. So he autographed my Black Dynamite poster. Nice guy, but I think he's technically from Waterbury. Is that right? Either way.
Oh, is he? Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he used to train in Waterbury and Fairfield area. Like he would go back and forth on his way down to New York.
So there you go.
He's from the general area.
But he plays Black Dynamite. He's a Vietnam War veteran and a former CIA officer who is brought back in because his younger brother is killed by this shady kind of organization that maybe drug dealers, maybe not. And I'm telling you folks, if you have not seen Black Dynamite, you must watch it immediately. I know I've said a few times, especially when we go through the list, but Black Dynamite is just pure comedic gold. Now, if I have any issues with it, maybe it kind of runs out of gas the last 5 to 10 minutes, but it still redeems itself. There's still enough there. So it's one of my favorite films of all time. You know, there's Drive, which I'm not allowed to mention, though I just did. But yeah, so Black Dynamite's my number 2.
Oh, Bridgeport. JY used to train in Bridgeport.
Oh, okay.
All right. There you go. Yeah, I didn't include Black Dynamite just because we didn't review it for the show, so I excluded it. Although I could have swore we did. That's how ingrained that film is in the show.
The same thing, yeah.
But C'est la vie. It did make my list because of that, but it would definitely probably be somewhere on the list if it was.
I'm telling you, buy it. If you don't like it, Matt will reimburse you the money.
You got to pay your own shipping now. All right, so my number 1, because I'm a man of principle, unlike my esteemed co-host, who I've noticed Lady Bird, an A+ film, a perfect film, has not been on this list, and I doubt it's going to come in at number 1.
It was 18. It was 18. Number 18.
This is actually, as far as I can tell, the only A+ film I've ever given, and I was shocked that was the case. And I've watched this film many, many times, and nobody's more surprised than I am that this director was 1-2 punch for me. So I'm going to give Edgar Wright's Baby Driver as my number 1 favorite film that we've done for the show. The music in it, just the way he stages it, the car chases are absolutely fantastic. They're just thrilling, and just the perfect way he edits this thing together with all the musical beats and just the way they move and do everything. The shootouts on the gunshots on beat, it's just amazing. Granted, it's got Kevin Spacey, but if you can look past that, Baby Driver is my number 1.
Actually, did not make my list, surprisingly.
Yeah, at all. It's completely shocking to me.
Yeah, no, there it is. You're right. Jamal, what's your 1?
This is mainly because of the absolute batshit craziness of it all. And the fact that I could not figure out what was happening from not just, what the next action piece is going to be, just from scene to scene.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to bother you. That was one of those films where you got to the end and it's like, I wonder what the payoff is going to. What the hell just happened?
Yeah.
That thing that did a hard left turn at the end there. Like, I didn't know. I was really, I loved that. And I still do love it, but man, that ending, I was like, what the hell is going on?
It's like, and then what we gonna do is,
yeah, I don't know. Boots Riley's thinking on that thing. That I kind of jumped off the train at that point. I mean, it's interesting. I just don't know if it works as well. It's insane. It really is insane. I don't get that, but yeah, no, that's good. Espo, you got one more for us?
We didn't do this for the show. You guys probably did, but it's probably my favorite movie from the last couple of years that's come out. A Quiet Place. I literally was sitting on the edge of my seat the whole time it was on. I didn't want to make any noise because I was like in the movie. It's really well done, really engaging. The performances from the actors, especially with like such limited dialogue, was really incredible. And I like that they didn't spend too much time on the backstory. These are the circumstances, and this is the horror of it all, and you were living it with them, and it was unique. And I like I said, it's probably my favorite movie from the last couple of years that I've seen, which is not a very long list, but still.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, it is really good. All right, folks. So if you're wondering what the best film that's not called Drive that has been discussed and reviewed on this show since it started, I will tell you what it is. So one of the stars of this film, while he was making the movie, was quoted as saying, like, I have no idea what the hell's going on with this movie. I don't know if this is going to work. It's not making any sense to me. I don't know if he's going to be able to assemble anything workable out of this film. It's going to be a disaster. And then he watched the movie and he's like, wow. All right, now I get it. So my number 1 is the best film of 2015, and that's Mad Max Fury Road. what George Miller is able to pull off with this film, with this long dormant franchise, with a star who is run into a little bit of trouble here and there. With a basically sort of a reboot-ish type thing, with Tom Hardy stepping into the lead role, but an equal powerful, if not even more powerful performance by Charlize Theron. The visuals on this thing, the color, right? The music, the sound, the visual. I mean, it is an insane film. And what George Miller is able to pull off of this movie, to this day, still blows my mind. I know that Villeneuve gets a lot of credit, for Blade Runner 2049 with visuals and such, and deservedly so. But there's just something about Fury Road that just kind of sticks to you, right? It's like the mashed potatoes to your gut, the oatmeal. It just gets in your brain, and you can't stop thinking about it. It's a brilliant film that should really not work at all. It's a crazy idea from start to finish, but it does. It's fantastic, and there's not a fault in this thing. So that's my number one. In the end, I went through all these films. I couldn't choose Drive, so I had to say what movie was the one that kind of blew me away the most that we discussed during the show. What's the one that I've revisited a lot? I've watched this, I think, 4 times now, and it's entertaining as hell every single time. And it's that. There it is. It's Fury Road. That's your number one.
I thought you were going to say Battle Los Angeles.
Yes.
That's a poll.
So there it is. Matt, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I had an honorable mention that would take us like 20 minutes to go through, so I'm not going to bother. Maybe I'll send you the list and you can post it on the website.
Okay. I'll just say, I just had a few. Inside Llewyn Davis, 127 Hours, Dread, The Master, Patterson, La La Land, we heard a clip from Sing Street, The Invitation, the John Wick trilogy, A Most Violent Year, Baby Driver, and Last Black Man in San Francisco. We're all contenders for my top 20. Anybody else have anything else they want to mention? They didn't make their top 5s there?
Logan, the Captain America trilogy, Winter Soldier, First Avenger, and Civil War, The Big Short, Zootopia, Fences, 12 Years a Slave. Oh, and I will say that I'll probably catch hell for this. The best Bond film, Skyfall.
I don't know about that. That's all right.
Go ahead, say it.
It's not the best Bond film.
Which one is the best?
It's one of the best Craig films. It probably is the best Craig film. From Russia with Love is probably my favorite. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, you put Sean Connery in Her Majesty's Secret Service, that's your best Bond film. Yeah.
With Craig in Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Well, that's true too. But probably From Russia with Love. I know, I guess the cliche is Goldfinger, but... Espo, did you have any other films you wanted to mention?
No, I don't think so.
Well, thank you for playing.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I want to thank both of you for joining us for this, what can only be described as a cluster F. But I think it was mostly entertaining, minus technological issues. And I enjoyed having you guys all here. Coming up next week on The Big Show, we're going to be discussing Come to Daddy. Elijah Wood continues his unusual career choices. And then, Matt, it begins.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Are you, though?
I'm excited. I am oddly excited to see this. I'm excited for our upcoming marathons. I think all of them are going to be just fantastic.
So we are starting our raunchy 80s comedy marathon with Porky's. Again, it'll be Porky's, Bachelor Party, Screwballs, Zapped, and then Fast Times at Ridgemont High to close it out.
Ooh.
Jamal, do you want to do any plugs or anything?
No, I got, just everybody stay safe, do smart stuff. I'll plug happiness. Get back to happiness.
You still have some music on iTunes?
So, oh yeah, that stuff. So there's music on iTunes. There's 2 songs out there now. Third one will be coming by June. There's 2 books. I've started a short series. It's the Sex, Love, Bad Choices, and More Sex series of books. Those are out on Amazon right now. And that's pretty much where I am.
Very good. It's Jamal Ford-Bey.
B-E-Y.
B-E-Y. Thank you. Espo, did you want to mention any of the projects you're working on? Some that you're comfortable mentioning? I know there's some stuff that's kind of dirty that you don't want to bring up.
No. I think I'm good.
Okay, good.
Got to mow the lawn. That's, yeah.
We'll get on
He
that.
said nothing dirty. He said nothing
not
dirty.
a lot of projects going on.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for the big show this week. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. I really appreciate it. It was good to see everybody. Of course, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually, you'll find us. Go over to Apple Podcasts. Give us a review. I'll read it on the air to help other people find the show. And that's it. 500 down, 500 to go, and then we retire. So let's go ahead.
That's it, huh? All right. Very good. That's when we finally decided to give it up.
We'll go ahead and take an extended break, and we'll see you all soon.
Adios, Pistol.
Take it easy, said it's lekker.